Hey everybody, it's Jillian again. So yeah, I really want to make sure you guys understand this regarding long range planning and what they plan to do with your specific regional area. Okay, so way back when I was in the conspiracy world, in the Alex Jones world, when he was interviewing Rosa Koire, Rosa, I think it's Koire, regarding UN Agenda 21 and the Codex Alimentarius, whatever, and has to do with the food supply, it has to do with the vaccines and whatever else, right? So there's also a website called America2050.org, and that showed the long range planning with the human habitation zones, like the mega regions, as well as the high speed rails, connecting each mega region with these high speed rails and then cordoning off the biodiversity in between each human habitation zone. And then you're seeing like all the fires in California. And then when Paradise, California completely just exploded, people were saying that look at these DEWs, direct energy weapons. And some of you have seen and saw some of the weird lightning and tornadoes and all these different weird type of weather happening, anomalous weather happening in different places that normally wouldn't have this kind of weather. Well, you're kind of seeing a reconfiguration of your specific area. Okay? I mean, right there with the whole thing with Paradise, where they have displaced people in Paradise to all points. I have people that I know on my Facebook that are living out of their camper, and they used to be in Paradise, and now they're living like in Missouri and different places, going from family to family, hanging out because they're mobile now. Maybe they're getting some kind of, money from the government or money for their house. I don't know what they're living on. But you're seeing now all of these long range planning. So America2050.org shows you the high speed rails and mega regions. Their whole green type of, I guess you'd say green communism, I guess, where they're going to punish people for wasting water or doing, all these different things. And then you're also seeing now the vaccine campaign, the virus that is now putting you all under an Orwellian type of surveillance. And so there definitely is a bigger picture going on. And so when you do push people into the inner cities, when you get them out of the country, because there's people saying, oh, I go to run to the country. Oh, yeah, you can run to the country for a minute. But if you have children and you're doing the dilly juice, you're not going to be out in the country for too long. They're going to get everybody in these human habitation zones, these smart cities. Okay, I was in Washington, D.C. last year, and I was at a friend's house. And it was basically like this is in Virginia, and this is basically a smart city. You have your mixed use buildings, your apartments, high rise apartments, and then you have all the commercial space at the first floor. And then you have the trains that go in and out of different commerce. There's affordable housing. But how are they going to be able to make a smart city and allow biodiversity and nature, come back? Well, they have to get rid of the useless eaters, the people who are sick, the people who are indigent, the people who are not strong enough for this environment. Because when you're taking, 7 billion down to 500 million, okay, when you have what is that? Oh crap, I don't have it memorized yet. But that whole experiment, that population experiment I should look at that. But anyways, that I showed you guys from Wikipedia and John B. Calhoun. Look at John B. Calhoun in the Universe 25. Okay, look at that. That's a population experiment on what happens when you allow humans to just procreate, have just mass procreation unguided. Well, eventually you will see death and chaos and the destruction of the population. And then with that said, then they're also ramping it up with this COVID stuff, okay? New viruses and vaccines in the environment. So right now, there is a long range plan for 2030, and there's even a longer range plan for 2050. But first they have to clean house. I mean, when you go and fix up a new house, like a flip house or house flip, whatever, and you're getting some, investment house, and you have to go and clean up all the debris, clean up all the mice out of that house, You have to go and nail in new floorboards and fix the paint and do all this stuff. Well, there's going to be a lot of destruction. I mean, any kind of, mice that are living there, they're going to be killed, or they're going to be pushed out to wherever. And maybe they survive, maybe they don't. Okay, and so that homeowner is now going to rebuild that house and make it to whatever his liking is. That's exactly what's going on right now, is that the architects of our system are now reconfiguring our region, our society, to make it more friendlier for a new type of society. Yes, more control, but that means also they're guiding reproduction carefully, which means that they're going to be definitely doing that down the road, is guiding reproduction carefully. Um, Very compliant people who are not going to be protesting, who are not going to be committing crimes, who are not going to be sick and aging. Well, they'll be aging, but before they actually become a burden to the system, there'll be backdoor triggers. And that's probably what's in these vaccines, these different, what you call vaccines. If you're not getting your body correctly, uh, yeah, there's going to be backdoor triggers. Now, as far as with the jelly juice world and salt, we need salt. Humans need salt. And the hospitals know this. Okay? Will there be a time way in the future where they're going to actually even control the salt? That's a possibility. Down the road, yes. Down the road, there's a possibility that even the jelly juice people, way down, not now. Right now, we're watching all of your friends and family are being destroyed by the vaccines and by the different prescription drugs and by the antibodies and by the Orwellian stuff. So even though, but I can't say for sure. But we need salt, but they have to have salt. They have to sell salt because humans need salt. Now, those that know jelly juice will know to buy more salt. Okay? But I don't think they'll be able to control the salt, because that would say that they're trying to control your life. And that's, but that's way down the road if that ever happens. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but all I know is now is that we are in the kickoff of reconfiguring the earth, reconfiguring all of the countries. But they have to have these campaigns in place they need your buy-in. Okay? And so that video I put out there with that the human cages, okay? Yeah, they've been conditioning you to accept that death is okay. They've been conditioning you to accept that getting, the vaccines and the flu shots and all the different prescription drugs and all the different procedures and honoring your doctor and honoring all the nurses and honoring all the different holistic supplements. They're getting you conditioned to basically accelerate the death trajectory. Okay? I mean, I know I sound like a crazy ass conspiracy theorist, but I'm telling you now more than ever with me now I do have my period, yes, but it's been a very hard period, this one. It's been pretty intense. And at some point, maybe I will not have my period. I don't know. I thought I didn't. I was supposed to get it a couple weeks ago, and then out of the blue, it was so weird. But it was a really weird type of dropping of the eggs, the insurance policies. So, I'm going through my own evolution. But I would say that I have probably the most mental clarity. My eyes, my ears, my nose, my mouth, my skin, all of my predispositions totally reversed. Everything that I've ever dealt with that was like anxiety and just full of issues and whatever, completely reversed. So I know I'm pretty much healed and sealed. Now it's me being able to adapt to these new environments as they keep coming at me left and right. And the campaigns are not going to stop. Like, I thought that after I got out of my parents' household and I became into my adulthood and then I got married, I think I had a few years where like, oh wow, this is really cool. Life is really good. And now I'm experiencing my childhood again with this isolation, with this Orwellian control, where all your movements are being controlled. There's no privacy. You got to wear a mask, and now I'm like looking at how I'm reacting to this Orwellian control, like how I reacted to it when I was a kid, and I'm just like, fuck. But there's a way to rise above it. But anyways, the America2050.org, which then now is RPA, which is Regional Planning Association, and they do have the archived website of America2050.org when you go to like the mega regions, and you can read what their long range planning is. But for them to have these types of very smart cities with a very effective type of community where everyone is on the same page, doing what they're supposed to do, whatever. They have to get rid of the imbalanced people. And so I'm pretty much balanced, okay? I'm not procreating. I'm not feeling like I need to go and have children, okay? I'm not feeling like I need to go commit any crimes. I don't feel like I need to do any kind of vigilanteism. I don't need to bully anybody. I don't need to really do anything that is going to cause an uproar in my community. I'm taking care of me and mine. Okay? And that's ultimately what the architects of our society want. They want people to take care of them and theirs. They don't want somebody upsetting the system. Now, as far as the death and reproduction, well, as far as death goes, I don't know if they want to guide reproduction carefully. I don't know how they're going to do it. What they can do, have like little baby factories that will make the babies and then put them in different places and give them to families to raise under very, very specific Child Protective Service guidelines. I mean, that's what CPS and social services is they're taking these children, and if the families are not compliant to the state's directives, they're taking the children and molding them to the state's intentions. Now, as far as this virus and all these different predispositions, are they going to have people who are child abusers in the future? I have no idea. Okay, with these smart cities, can they afford to have child abusers? Can they afford to have people commit crimes like that? Can they afford to have kids that are raised in an abused household go and commit crimes? See, that's the thing, and that's what I'm thinking down the road is that we're not going to have child abusers, we're not going to have pedophilia, we're not going to have people dying or reproducing, or it's going to be guided so carefully. So I'm thinking that's the ultimate goal, but in the meantime, all of the people who are destroying, their body, minds, and spirits, as well as children, are going to have their last hurrah, okay? And those that are not paying attention to their kids and those that are just not really paying attention to anything, they're going to be victims. And that's unfortunate. But I wish I knew what the actual end goal is. But when you look at the smart cities and you look at the Georgia Guidestones, guiding reproduction carefully, balancing nature and man in harmony or something, leave room for nature, whatever, I don't know. There's other stuff, no petty laws or unjust laws and petty officials or something like that. Okay, there's definitely a plan to have a more of a utopian. Okay, we did have a utopian, so to speak, maybe in the 1950s, post World War II, and then the sexual revolution, all that, and then somewhat of a utopian in the 1980s when all of the pedophilia and all of the abuse and all these different drug stuff is now underground or legitimized through biotech. And that's why Hollywood now is becoming exposed because of what they practiced back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s upon the children. And that's why kids of the 80s some of them are coming out going like, oh my God, my parents did this to me, or oh my God, I was part of this MK Ultra CIA mind control thing. Okay, so I don't know what the end result's going to be, but I'm thinking that it's going to be relatively peaceful after we go through this major upheaval. And right now we're in the reconstruction process. And when you're going through reconstruction, when you're seeing a house demolition, when you're seeing a house being flipped and the investment property being under construction, it's not pretty because you have to demolish all of the bad wood. You have to take out all of the animals and the infestation. Okay, and that's kind of how the architects of our society are looking at all of you. Okay, is that a lot of you will not be able to handle this new environment, and that's a way to take out the useless eaters. So if you don't understand Jilly Juice to release the excess antibodies, and if you're not aware that pain is healing, and that yes, eventually you're not going to want to reproduce, but do you really have to reproduce if you're the best copy? Eventually Jilly Juice will be the ambitions of the architects of our society, because no, I don't want to procreate. No, I don't need to go and commit crimes. No, I'm taking care of me and mine, and I'm taking care of business. Is there a specific skill that the architects of our society want me to do? Well, it just depends on what's going on, because for us to have a job, we have to be serving somebody, whether serving our community, basically supporting whatever machine that's available. So the machine right now is changing. the machine's going to have a different requirements and different requests from the community. And so that's why you're seeing also too why the destruction of our economy, because they're tired of supporting all of these ancillary types of businesses that is keeping right now the imbalanced machine going. Okay, why the mom and pops are basically mom and pop shops are going. And so yeah, we're in the middle of a reconstruction. This is basically like the Civil War reconstruction. We're in reconstruction, and it's not going to be pretty. Okay, but if I can at least get you to understand what the long range plans are, and that this has been out there for years, since at least for me 2011, 2012, but people have known about this for a long time. But this whole thing with the Jilly Juice protocol and me taking the fear away from the salt, and then watching my own body and mind and spirit, reverse all the issues that I've had. This is what the architects want. This is what the architects of our society want. This is exactly. Now, will I be able to survive this reconstruction? Since I'm in basically the Hunger Games. We are right now experiencing the Hunger Games on a mass level. And you have to be able to survive it. And so all I could do is just give you guys some kind of warning. And I don't know. Why is somebody... no private message, you guys. No PM. Oh, whatever. Here's the thing. When you guys send me videos around like pandemic, you got to look. You got to look at who they're blaming. You got to look at who they're blaming. When they say, oh yeah, they're trying their hardest to take down Trump. Do you realize that Trump also is playing a part? Every video that's out there regarding this is desensitizing you and getting you socially conditioned for the new world. Okay? That's all it's doing. I mean, when I answer people's questions in a bitchy way, because I don't want to answer the question, but I'm answering, but I'm going to belittle you in a lot of ways. It's my way of conditioning you to understand the information that, hey, get off the freaking pink salt, go to the white salt, because you can't afford to be on the pink salt. Even though I don't want to answer the question, I answer the question. And I'm still conditioning you to accept that, yes, white salt really is the answer, and you got to stop fighting me on this. Well, that's exactly what these videos are doing with you guys. The pandemic, out of the shadows, the Obama deception, all the different, zeitgeist, all these different videos. They're telling you exactly, okay, the system, the architects of our society are using you guys to condition your neighbors, because there's really no solution that they're offering you. The only solution is your obvious reaction. Fight the power. Fight power to the people. And they already have your reactions already figured out and how to counter-react to your reactions. Okay? The thing that they're taking down videos and taking down QAnon, that's all a psychological operation. You're like, oh yeah, Facebook is taking down QAnon, taking down the Q drops, taking down all these different videos. This video has been banned. Oh wow, now that makes it much more exotic because that video was banned. That video is like, telling, yeah, well, how many videos do you need to watch to know what's going on? Now, at some point, you're going to have to now deal with your own biochemistry. How many fucking videos are you going to watch to confirm what's going on? Your friends know your politics. They've been watching you for years. And if they want to research pandemic, they want to research out of the shadows, they want to research the, Alex Jones people, they want to research, naturalnews.com, whatever, they can do that. Most people out there that are really not paying attention to you have given up. They're fine with sticking with their reality at this point because there's nothing really conflicting in their world. They haven't been affected by what's going on because they're purposely not trying to be affected. Or they're purposely denying it because it's just not, they don't have right now what it takes to deal with the reality. Okay? So it's not going to matter how many videos you watch. It's not going to matter how many warnings you give. Though I'm doing it because I'm also giving a solution, which is the jelly juice. And it's not going out there and rising against the New World Order, because you can't fucking win against them. They already figured you out. They figured you out a long time ago. Your ancestors gave them the clues on how human reactions, how they're going to manifest. What they didn't figure out was the jelly juice. Well, how do you know they haven't? Well, I mean, look, I've been vaccinated, I was in the military. They were giving us experimental vaccines in the military. Okay? I was vaccinated when I came here in 1975. I was vaccinated even, they gave me the military. I think I re-enlisted, I think twice in the military, which means I got a flu shot in the military. Okay, so I've been getting, and I've been exposed to people who've been vaccinated. So their antibodies I've been taking on. Okay? And so, but they're like, oh, now this new vaccine. Well, any of these new vaccines that come out is really not going to affect me. They will maybe a little bit as far as me upgrading, but I won't die from them. Yeah, so they might have this luciferase, which is a bioluminescence, which is kind of like the mark of the beast as well, which is the antibodies. Okay. I will release the excess, and the bodies can take on that upgrade, and you'll be able to survive. Okay? So at some point, you guys are going to have to now turn to a solution that is tangible. Because I'm telling you, the fear porn is so exotic and so attractive. And at some point, you have to get away from the fear porn and do jelly juice simultaneously. So that way, you can actually help your body deal with this new coming situation. And if you have kids, you know your kids are going to be a target. You may not be able to save your kids. Because if your kids are like, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you have really no control over your child, and they don't want to do the jelly juice, and they're in public school, and every single time they have a symptom, not going to school because they're sick, then they're going to have CPS come to your house like, why is your kid sick? And they're going to do a test, and the kid's positive, and you're negative, or whatever, and you're not taking their prescription drugs, you're not taking their vaccines, you know. And that's the thing, is you have to understand, you have to balance out doing the J juice and dealing with all the remedies until your kid is able to handle the environment where they're not showing symptoms of evolution anymore. See, that's what's going to be really the red herring, the red flags to everybody in your environment as far as the state. Is when your kids show symptoms, that's going to then elicit the state and trigger the state to be in your business under this next couple years, however many they are. And so this is the thing, you may not be able to save your child, but you need to save yourself. That's the bottom line. Okay? And so at this point, it's every man for themselves. It's every man for themselves. And some kids will not be able to be saved. You may have to sacrifice your child to the system because you still have to get well. Because every single time you give your kid J juice, they're going to have some kind of healing symptom because they basically have been exposed to you and all of your predispositions. And so then, you have to send your kid to school, or they have to be online with their teacher. And if they're online with their Zoom teacher and the kid's like coughing and saying, oh, I feel sick right now, I had this, I had that, the teacher's going to be asking the kid questions, and the kid's going to divulge whatever, because kids are honest. Then it's like, then the teacher's going to be like, well, are you taking any medicine? And, and that's the thing, is I don't know exactly how much the state's going to be in your business when the teachers going to be the mandatory reporters. See, that's the thing with social services and teachers. They're going to make teachers probably mandatory reporters. They're going to get the teachers that are buying into all this. The kid's sick, make sure. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So the thing with the J juice is you have to be strong enough, and your kid has to be strong enough to deal with all of their remedies that the state is going to offer, as well as the vaccines, and handle and be able to handle the J juice too at the same time, the waterfalls, all that stuff. And your kid is, if they don't want to do J juice at the level that they should, okay, and they don't want to do the waterfalls and all that, and they get sick, and then the state says you have to do this, and this, And the kid's just like, oh my God, you're gonna have to let your kid go. That's what it's gonna come down to. So when you really think about it, parents, it really is you that you have to take care of, is you. Because at some point your kids are going to have to be sacrificed, because the symptoms are going to, the healing symptoms are going to be the red flags. It's like smelling blood in the water for the state. The symptoms are going to be like blood in the water for the state. So I'm now seeing the reality that, yeah, you can protect your kids, but really, if your kid doesn't have what it takes to fight, if your kid doesn't have what it takes to understand the changes, and you don't have control of your child, the state's going to have control of your child, so it doesn't even matter. Okay, so it doesn't even matter. That's what's so scary about all of this, is that really it's only the people that understand JJ's are going to survive it. You can't, you could try to help your kid out, but you know what? At this point, don't have any expectations. Your kid's going to survive all this. Don't have any expectations, especially when the state is going to be in your business as soon as the kid's born. And then they're going to have doctor visits, nurse visits, social services visits, especially for new mothers. That's what's coming down the line too, is there's going to be education and training and maternity centers. And they're going to have, caseworkers for every newborn. Guiding reproduction carefully. You know what that means, right? Guiding reproduction carefully. The state's going to be in your business regarding how you raise your child. And that's the legislation that's basically piggybacking right now, that's pending in Congress. So now that I'm actually thinking about this, it's great in theory, but like, yeah, take care of your kid. Your kid can do this, which they could. But if you're not one of those kind of parents, if you're having to do homeschool and you're part of a Zoom, and then your kid is not very well versed on how the state works, because you can't tell your kid to keep secrets. You realize that the whole thing with the pedophilia is, oh yeah, if a grown-up tells a kid to keep a secret, that's a bad thing. Yeah, it is a bad thing. So imagine a grown-up telling a kid, don't tell them that you're sick. Don't say anything about being sick. And then the state asks, hey, how you feeling? Like the teacher doing the Zoom call. How you feeling, Johnny? How you feeling, Betty? Oh, I feel a little sick today. I have a stomach ache or whatever. Yeah. You, parent, need to take care of you first and foremost. Your kid will survive or they won't. That's what I see. They really want to guide that reproduction carefully. And I know I sound very defeatist around this, but that's what it comes down to. This is not something that you really can impose upon somebody else. Okay? Um, the kid has to be strong enough to do all the remedies that the state gives, as well as due diligence to heal from that. And it can happen, but it's gonna be very tiresome for the child. So it depends on how sick that kid is, and you may have to just let that child go. I mean, that's the reality of it. So I got to give you the reality of it. All right, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. Bye.